Web developer. In this video, we're going to take a very brief introduction to building AJAX-style applications using Visual Web Developer and the Microsoft AJAX collection of technologies. Now, I say a very quick introduction because I've already built over 100 AJAX programming videos using the Microsoft AJAX technologies. And in nearly all, if not every single one of those videos, I used Visual Web Developer as. To take a look at that information, go ahead and point your browser at www.asp.net/learn/ajax-videos. So, to get started, let's go ahead and fire up Visual Web Developer and create our first AJAX-style application. So to do that, let's start with creating a simple .NET project. We'll create a website. I'm just going to name it AJAX demo. Notice here we have a default.aspx page and a web.config file, but the type of AJAX functionality that we're going to implement here is an AJAX service method call. So you recall in the previous video, video number 13, we created a SOAP service and we called it from our ASP.NET application. In this case, the model is going to be a little bit different because we have the application that will feed this default.aspx page, but when we need to make a call to the service, we're not going to go back to the server and have the server call that service for us. We're going to call that service directly from JavaScript code running inside our browser in our page. Now, in the previous video, another thing that we did was we created the service in a completely separate application because theoretically that service would live on a separate server. You can certainly do that in an AJAX application using Microsoft's AJAX technology, but it's also very common to implement service methods that are specific to the application that will call them. So they are used to update the user interface to have that sort of AJAX kind of behavior, but they're specific to the application that's calling them, so they're not going to be called sort of generically from multiple applications. And in that case, it makes sense to just create the service, the ASMX file, right there in the project where that ASMX file is going to be called. So that's what we're going to do in this demo. So I'm going to just right here in the solution, I'm going to say add a new item, choose web service. We'll leave the web service.asmx name. And here you'll see this is the same as the SOAP service that we created in the previous version. Let's rename this to be say hello. So the method name is say hello, just like in the video 13, the SOAP service. Let's also include the input parameter. So my name as string. And again, we'll change the return value to be a variation of the input parameter. And that's it. That's the exact functionality that we implemented in our SOAP service. And in fact, we could still call this through SOAP if we wanted to. The .NET runtime would handle that for us. But in our case, we need to call this from JavaScript code. That means it needs to be what we call a scriptable service. So in order to do that, the runtime team has implemented functionality that is in keeping with the way that web service programming is done using .NET. And that is simply by adding an attribute that will specify that this class, this